So let's lighten the mood today and just talk about good old-fashioned video game stuff. You know, the stuff you do in games for no reason, just to get a feel for the game. Things that don't make sense. You know you do it. We have 10 examples here, so let's get started. The first thing that I know many people will probably do is in a game, you're gonna jump off a cliff to check out the fall damage. You wanna know what you're getting yourself into, so of course, check the game's systems and see if it's one of those games that's gonna penalize you for falling too far or not. Some games, you're practically invincible when you fall off a ledge. Other games, you fall 2 feet and you lose half your health bar. And while sometimes it makes the game more challenging and it's a good rule set for a game, it can still be a pain in the ass, so you're gonna want to get a feel for just how far you can push it to the limit. How far can you jump with a character, or how far can you fall without breaking your damn ankles? It's a sacrifice, of course. You want to go through a game dying as little as possible, maybe to have a good record or something like that, but at the same time, you want to know what you're getting yourself into, and maybe it's just a little morbid curiosity too. I think morbid curiosity is honestly going to be a theme going through this video. But next, over at number 9, another thing you're always going to do in a game just to get the feel is trying to skip a cutscene in a game, or maybe even skipping the intro. You're going to immediately try and mash escape or the spacebar or click a button or whatever, press start, just to see if you can get away with it. Honestly, just to see if you can do it in a pinch if you need it. I'd like to think like the people I'm talking to out here, like you guys don't skip cutscenes on purpose. You want to see the story, of course, but just in case somebody walks in or something happens, a car crashes through your wall, I don't know, you want to make sure you're going to be able to pause the game when you need to in a pinch. And of course, one of the first things you're going to do is try that. And there's always kind of that thing too where it's like you go to press it and see if something happens in the bottom right corner and you're like, come on, and you either get it and it pauses or you get nothing. This is also something good to know right off the bat what you're dealing with if you're playing a difficult game where you have to restart a lot and sit through the same damn cutscene again. Thankfully, in 2020, that's kind of a thing that doesn't happen as much as it used to, but still, it's something that we're kind of trained to look out for and test the waters first. Next up at number 8, another one that you're probably going to do in any game that involves interiors or exteriors and a gun, you're going to aim that gun at a light and see if you can shoot out the light. This is something that now, again, in the year 2020, is something that is way more likely to actually happen. But back in the day, when you pointed a gun at a light and shot it, most of the time, nothing happened, and if it did, it felt like an amazing miracle of game design. Do you remember the first Splinter Cell game and being able to shoot out every single light? Even if you didn't technically have to, you would go through and shoot out every single light, damn it, because you could, and the developers worked hard to be able to make it so you could do so. And Splinter Cell was, of course, an example where you sometimes needed to shoot out lights, but there are other games where you can shoot out lights, and it's really just for show. It's almost like the developers were flexing, like, look how much detail we have in this game. Do you remember in Metal Gear Solid 2 when it had the bottles on the bar top and shooting out the bottles didn't really do much at all other than maybe alert some guards? It was there because it was cool and you wanted to see if it could happen. And that's something that we definitely always test out first all the time. Now next, over at number 7, friendly fire. Of course, if it's a game, you're given a weapon, be it a laser sword, an alien rifle, a cool machine gun, whatever it is, you're gonna point it at your friend or the AI and pull the trigger. Just to see what happens, just to see if you can get away with it. You need to know what type of game you're dealing with. Can you go crazy with splash damage, shooting everywhere, and not have to worry about blasting away your friends or your AI allies? Or is it one of those games, or is it Rainbow Six style? You're gonna have to really, really be careful and aim your shots perfectly, or else you're gonna take out somebody very, very important. And if it's an online game and you're jumping on for the first time with your friend, there's always the one friend that's just kind of looking around and checking out the graphics, or maybe just messing with the controls, figuring out what they can do, or switching their loadout while you're just aiming at their head, ready to fire, just to see what happens. But it's like in a friendly curiosity. I think that's why they call it friendly fire, but that's just me. Anyway, next, over at number 6, another thing you're always gonna do to test the feel in a video game is steal stuff in RPGs. You're gonna go into a random building and immediately take any random item that you can and put it in your inventory or your backpack or whatever, just to see if you can do it technically, if the game's systems and rules let you get away with it, and if the NPCs care, of course. I'm not talking about like when you're further in an RPG and you're deciding, do I want to be a thief character? Do I really want to sneak in and steal that armor set from that merchant? No, we're not even there yet. I'm talking like as soon as you get in a room the first time in an RPG and you just go, oh cool, can I take this stuff? Most of the time it's just a happy accident, and then you quickly realize how the guard system or police system works in the game, and then you're in trouble. Regardless, like a lot of things in this video, it's just another thing you're bound to do just to see if you can really get away with it. Which leads over to my next point at number 5. Speaking of picking stuff up, you're just gonna pick up random objects in the environment if you can, and see if you can and how you can manipulate them, and of course, then you're gonna throw them and see how far you can throw them, and of course, see if you can throw them at other characters in the game, and see if you can break stuff. That's been a thing, especially as more games have advanced physics systems and objects that are all unique and have their own physics, but also now in the 21st century with VR. There's so many VR games where the first thing you're gonna do is pick up something and see if you can throw it on the ground and smash it, or pick up a basketball and throw it at an NPC's head. Whether it's VR or if it's just a regular standard game, when you do it and if you are successful, there is always that endorphin rush of like, yeah! Stuff like that sometimes just really makes you smile. It's dumb, you're in a video game, nothing matters, so you're gonna throw stuff and break stuff. That's part of the magic of video games, right? You want to escape, you want to do stuff that you can't do in the real world. Now next, over at number 4, another thing to get a feel for a game. Very importantly, you're going to check immediately what's faster, running in a straight line or jumping up and down while you're running, or technically in some games, bunny hopping. Very quickly in a game, you might get used to just running straight and you're bored. It doesn't feel like it's fast enough, it's not interestingly enough, so you're going to either spam the roll button or the jump button and see what happens. Maybe it'll make you move faster, or, you know, sometimes you just do it just to do something different and just be entertained a little more. I can imagine if there's anybody out there listening to this video that doesn't play a video game, might think that we sound like insane people right now, but if you play video games, I know you absolutely understand what I'm talking about. Especially when it comes to something like bunny hopping. If it's like an old school FPS, you want to figure that out if you can bunny hop and get that real momentum going. But even if there is a momentum system or not with that jumping forward while moving, sometimes you just can't help but jump around and hop up and down while you're running, because again, to another point I'm going to keep repeating, it's a video game, damn it, you could do whatever you want. Now down to number 3, another thing you're going to do to really get the feel for a game, an open world game, is just keep going until you hit an invisible wall. Or just see if the game even has invisible walls, which is always fun. Chances are most games do. They have an end point or an endless body of water to just keep you from going anywhere. But those games where it seems like you can go so far for miles and miles and minutes of video game time, then when you finally hit that stopping point, that end point, that no man's land, sometimes that's a satisfying feeling. Another thing that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean, right? Just like certain situations in real life, in a video game, you gotta go out and see where the boundaries are. And some people do that first the second they're dropped in a big open world. Why not? See how far you can go. See when you hit that invisible wall. Go have fun, kid. Believe it or not, that actually leads down to my next point at number 2. In a game, you're gonna try and break the game, or break any system within the game if you have the opportunity. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a physics system in the game or some mechanic in the game where you have to manipulate something or put something in something else. It could be anything really. It's hard to cite a specific example, but just you basically see what the game wants you to do with this system it built for you, and then you go and do the complete exact opposite and see if the game is even designed to handle or comprehend what you're doing. And chances are, a lot of the times, it isn't, and the results are hilarious. There is nothing better than a game where you're supposed to do something that you're designed with, like a vehicle or a mount or a character, and then you do something that does not compute with that thing and the game just kind of freaks out or just acts totally stupid. And it's another example of, like, it's a video game. You're gonna do dumb, weird stuff in it because you can't do these types of things in other things like real life. So why not? Am I right? Break things a little bit. That's how you get comfortable. That's how you get roomy in a video game. Now down to number 1, I know there's something that you definitely do to get a feel for a game and you can't deny it, and that's try to double jump. I know it sounds stupid, but like seriously, I don't think there's any people out there that in a game that has a jump button, you press that jump button at least once, you don't try and press that button twice just to see what would happen. See if you get a little extra. I'm not gonna lie, even if there's like a more like hyper realistic game that has a jump button where you exist in a game world where in the rules of that world you're a person and you wouldn't have the ability to double jump like magic, I'm still gonna try it. You can't help but double tap that button. It's just kind of like muscle memory at this point, you know? Again, it doesn't make sense, but in your mind, it's a video game. Nothing should make sense. Nothing is better though when you start out a game or a platformer, like most recently with Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. You know, like it's the first level of a game and you get that feel for it and you're going along and you hit the jump button and then you hit it again and that character double jumps and then you have that little sense of relief, like, oh yeah, this game has a double jump and I don't have to unlock it. It's a beautiful thing, and you're gonna try and test it out in every game, even if it's dumb. And honestly, all of these examples are dumb. Dumb, habitual things you're gonna do in a video game to get a feel for it. We tried to think outside the box with these examples, so we'd love to know what you think in the comments. Are there any other weird things you do in games when you first fire up a game, just to see what the game can do, just to see what you can do in the game? If you got any fun examples you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. But if you're new, maybe click the like button if you had a good time with us. That really helps us out. And of course, also consider subscribing because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.